Alright guys, we are back. We have pieces and parts and I'll walk you through it as we go. But we are going to be hopefully getting this just a few steps closer to running tonight. Probably won't make it all the way there, but most of the way is top notch. Okay, so we're going to start right here. With our oil filter base. So we're going to get this puppy put back on. Got my new gasket, got my base. Get this all put back together. Like an idiot, I put those right where I needed to work. And we're not winning this for brains today, are we? Okay. So I have given this carb cleaner, wire brush, typical prep work, same thing here. Use my air to blow out all the passages so that we have a good clean filter system. I always thought IH had a pretty solid filter system on their engines. They tend to carry around 50 pounds of oil pressure if they're in pretty good shape. And they're fairly forgiving. I think this is probably one of the tougher engines out there, this H engine. Not putting anything against an M, but these guys take a lot of abuse. All right. That, by the way, is one of my favorite ratchets. It is a super ratchet by J.H. Williams. I always called it a B52, but I think this one is called a B53 because it's a little longer than most, and it's got a very fine set of teeth in it. I don't use it to break stuff loose very much anymore, although I have had a pipe or two on it in my lifetime. And I just kind of have retired it to assembly procedures only because I don't want to break it. All right, good to go right there. I think we got a pretty solid install on that, don't you guys? All right, we are going to take a little bit of our oil, and I misspoke yesterday. I actually grabbed 1040 by accident, but it don't matter for what I'm doing. And we're just going to give it a little dose of oil in there. Make sure we get a little bit around the lip. Yeah, there we go. And that will help us get everything installed. So, new filter. Oh, whoops, I did that wrong. Let's try this again. New rubber O-ring installed first, because I have forgotten that before. Alright. Coat of oil all the way around on it. Alright. There. Now, new filter in there, ready to go. We also have our filter, or our filter top, which I cleaned out and cleaned up. There we go. that in. Alright, I'm not going to tighten that down yet. Leave it like that so I can forget it and puke oil all over the place. Alright, so here's our 3116s, Autolites. Gap looks good on them. Let's go. There we go. First one in. Everybody looks pretty good. All right. Okay, so 4 nice new plugs. Good set of points. Condenser, caps all cleaned up. On the inside, that is. All right. I like it. So, I had a viewer comment on the frame rails on this H, and he is correct. These guys right here, these 3 holes are really flogged out, which matches with the rest of the story that this used to be the cultivator tractor on the place. So that kind of ties into why I was a little leery about getting too deep into anything, because I don't know the history on the transmission or any of that. And I was kind of hoping that I could do a little bit of work to this and have it fired up and play with it a little bit. I'm already farther into it than I wanted to go. So, alright, so I grabbed some spark plug wires from Napa. Get them guys on there. And I think that if we take a closer look here, we can see that it has been a long time since this tractor has been used. If we look at this wire here, it is really cracked and frayed. Now, I had some spark on this, so I'm not going to tear into that any farther until I kind of hear it run. I've got no problems putting a new coil on it and everything, but I would like to see some oil pressure, see it holding water, some of those general things. So even before I start tripping these guys off, I'm probably going to just put them in there like that. So we are 1342 for our firing order, 1342, and we basically it's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the engine, and we are marked number 1 right here. So we're going to take the number 1, all right, and put it on in there. So number 1 plug, number 1 hole. Now we need number 3, 1, 2, 3, needs to be our next plug at the bottom. 4 is all the way next to the block. And then Number 2 plug is our very last one here, which is on the top. Now those should stay there good enough for what I want to do to hear it run. And then we can trim these all down and make sure it looks like a real nice job. But if this engine does turn out to be junk, I'll just be taking the wide front end off of it, and whatever parts I think I need, or engine or the transmission turns out to be junk, I'll just be parting it out. So that should allow us to fire some stuff up here. All right. So that brings us to a fun one here. They did not have any of the pipe 3/4 inch plugs at the farm store I went to, so I just bought a brass one. And boy, you want to talk about making a painted oil pan stand out. Just to add a brass plug to it. So, all right, that puts us in a pretty good spot for today. I'll bring you back when I got some more stuff. All right, guys, so the carburetor that I took off of this, well, let me just put it this way. It did not look very salvageable on any level. So I have this known running, decent running carburetor right here that we are going to put on here to see what we got for an engine. We hope. There we go. All right. Get that in there. All right. So this is the one area where Farmall gets a little tricky on getting everything back together, but I think we got her reassembled in the slot so that the governor will operate. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I had to send that carburetor out to enlist some assistance on it. It was so bad. And I ended up making a deal with the guy where I got rid of several of my carburetor cores that I haven't messed with. And he is going to send me a finely tuned, prepped, and ready H carburetor for this project or whatever other project I may need it for. But it will be all gone through, ready to go. And then that will give me a good carburetor to use on a current tractor, or just as my carburetor I put on stuff I drag home like an idiot. Because, you know, I'll probably drag home another one. Just because. All right. I will say this 45 off wrench here is probably one of the best wrenches I've ever gotten for $1 on the scenic drive here in Illinois for keeping or taking off these carburetor bolts. Oh my God, I can't talk and think at the same time. There we go. All right, let's go ahead. That feels pretty good there. tighten up. Still needs a little bit more. There we go. There. Okay. Carburetor is on. Time to get some fuel, some gas, a battery, you know the deal. I'll bring you back when I'm ready. Alright guys, here we go. Cross your fingers. Get my soda out of the way. Let's see what she's got after sitting for God knows how long. Oh, nothing. Oh, hey. That wasn't bad. Ah. Yeah, she's puking a bunch of junk out of there, but let's see what she's got. Hell yeah! All right, I'll take that for a first start for a while. We're going to just let it put a little bit of heat and then check everything over. And in my stupidity, I did not check the oil gauge. Oh, we got plenty of oil pressure. Whoops. All right, well, we had a little bit of fire. Alrighty. Well, positive notes, I think it runs pretty good. And just by turning it over, I can see we got good oil pressure. I'm going to check a few of the wires and bring it back to you when I find out what's wrong. All right, Luke, let's go ahead, give her some fire, see what she does. Hold on. Go ahead. Oh, too much.
That's a little sticky.
It hasn't ran since when? Did you just bang your shin?
No, it's slipped.
Oh, so slow down. Let's fire it up again and let it kind of break itself back in. typical leak around that. That's not that big a deal. We're burning off some of that oil. And we're going to let it get up to operating temperature. There we go. Down the idle a little bit. We're just going to let it build up some heat and see what it does. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not surprised that we're going to have to take that off and replace that. That's pretty common on an H. But that's really the only leak that I see so far on the old girl. We definitely had her up to operating temperature. Yeah. I don't see any other leaks or problems. We're carrying good oil pressure. I would say the engine is good. And the clutch didn't feel bad?
No, it's a little soft.
Well, Luke, when's the last time this thing ran and moved on its own? Yeah, like the 80s or 90s is what the guy told us. So, we are now going to move on to gas tank cleaning, rear end checking, and all the other stuff that goes with bringing an old tractor back to life. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the first start. Hopefully tomorrow we can do the first drive down the road.